A significant factor in the way that we mobilise and resource an incident will be the presence of people. The risks that those people face and also the risks that they pose. It's well known that people will put themselves in great danger to save an animal. In fact, an American survey concluded that 83% of the public would risk their lives for an animal. And that's borne out in our historic incidents that we've encountered over the years as operational responders. At a human-only focused emergency, we're called to resolve the situation, and it's rare that members of the public step in to try and resolve it themselves. But when an animal's involved, then there is a high chance of somebody intervening before the emergency services or other responders have got to the scene and taken control. If you think about scenarios such as the dog that's gone into the icy river or the icy lake, or the horse that's trapped in a horse box, whilst we may be called to resolve an animal issue, there is a significant chance of a member of the public taking action and intervening on behalf of that animal and putting themselves at grave danger. And therefore, we must think about the acknowledged behaviours of people at these situations and resource the situation accordingly. Command and control is a key factor in a well-orchestrated rescue, and it's important that the safety of the scene starts with the control room, with the call handlers, and the safety advice that they will give ahead of any resource mobilising. When considering a response plan, I think one of the key factors is going to be the presence of people on the scene and who they are. So for instance, if a call comes through to an equine incident from a member of the public and there are no professionals on scene, we must respond to take account of the fact that members of the public will put themselves at risk. If a professional is asking for help, then our initial response may be more tailored to the fact that a member of a professional association is managing risk at the scene, unless they describe a greater degree of urgency. Some animal species may be accompanied by expert handlers or specialist advisors. Emergency plans may give us access to other specialist advice, and we must take advantage of this as quickly as possible. The more challenging situations will be involving members of the pet owning community who won't necessarily have the same emotional stability and will have competing demands and priorities at the incident. So it's really important that we get specialist advisors and support to the scene of the incident, or at least to advise the scene of the incident as quickly as possible. One of the key factors of an animal incident is the use of mainstream and social media to promote what has happened. There is a huge amount of interest in animal incidents, and therefore we must really equip our responders to deal with that element and to understand that their actions and the way that they deal with that situation will come under scrutiny, and we need to give them the right tools and resources to manage it effectively. Finally, it's worth reflecting on the way that people perceive incidents involving animals and the often emotional attachment that people will have to the situation. Approaching an incident involving animals by emergency responders should be done in a spirit of compassion, but without emotion. But we must acknowledge that emotions will be high for many people at the scene, and we must factor that into our command and control, but also post-incident, thinking about the agencies that we may have used to help resolve the situation and helping to promote their well-being through debriefs and welfare checks. Think about some of the more notable situations involving animals that you've responded to, and just reflect on the behaviours and the type of people that were at the scene, and just consider, in the future, what sorts of things you might do to improve that aspect, whether it's extending cordons, removing unnecessary people, or providing post-incident support.